Everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of DC Collectors. Today we're taking a look at the first wave of DC Essentials DCeased action figures from DC Direct, and I want to thank the fine folks at DC Direct for sending us an advanced review of these action figures. As you can see, we get DCeased Batman, DCeased the Joker, DCeased Aquaman, and DCeased Green Lantern. Now, all of these figures have been released in their regular versions in the past, but this is the first time we get the zombie type look of the figures, and we're going to see how they stack up compared to the other figures. Let's take a quick look at the boxes. You can see just the standard fare of the DC Essentials line here, nothing really crazy, just the DC's kind of logo there. This is Green Lantern, he is number 30 in the pack. On the back, you get a little bit about this line. Bottom of the box for Green Lantern. Here is a look at Aquaman in the package. Love the cool little side art there. Back of the box. Bottom of Aquaman. The Joker. Now, I do not have the Joker action figure, so this is the first DC Essentials Joker that I do have. There you go. Back of the box. Bottom of the box. Here is the Batman. Zombie Batman. Here you go. He is number 27 in this line. Here is the back of this box. See the other figures in this line. UPS on the bottom. Now, let's open these guys. Okay, so here are the figures out of the package. Now, I will be honest, they look cooler than I thought. When I first saw the solicitations for these things, I'm like, this is just basically a re-release of the figures with some blood splattered on them and maybe, you know, a little bit of different head sculpts. But if you're a fan of the DCeased miniseries and the whole event, then these figures should be right up your alley and should add a little extra flair to the collection. We'll start off here with just a little bit about Green Lantern. Now, these are like regular DC Essentials figures, so they have the same exact articulation that most DC Essentials figures have. You can see over here, neck turns up, down, turns all the way around. Shoulder joints, they can move about that far out. He does have double jointed elbows, and the wrist can go all the way out and back and forth, back and forth. So, and he does have bicep swivel as well. So that's a plus. For that, he does have like an ab crunch here, so he can go over pretty good there. And you know, it's a new figure right out of the box, so sometimes it can be a little sticky there. He can turn around, all the way around. He has pretty good mobility there. He can do a good split. You can see he does have thigh swivel as well. He has double jointed knees, and the boot can turn as well, so he has calf swivel, and he has good mobility at the ankle. So what's the difference between zombie Green Lantern and regular Green Lantern? Well, let's take a look here. Here is the regular version of Hal Jordan. You can see that they are similar. We're going to pull the other figures out of the way for just a second here so we can just concentrate on the Green Lanterns here. Here's what we have. So the difference between DCeased Green Lantern and regular Green Lantern Hal Jordan, you get a bit brighter green on the regular version versus this one. This is a darker green tone, and if I don't know if you can see this in the camera, but there are like some shading spots in between some of the muscles, just to give it a grimier, grittier, blacker kind of look to it. And it goes even through the boots, as you can tell too. Some of those kind of black brush strokes mixed in there. And of course, the head sculpt's a little different, just with the zombified head sculpt compared to the regular head sculpt here. And of course, you got the blood splatter everywhere. that, of course, you know, the gloves are clean here. You will notice that regular version of Hal Jordan features a closed fist with the ring on. This one does not. He has an opened, like, gnarly kind of zombified hand grip. Same thing here. This hand is different than this hand. So the only real difference in these two figures, aside from the paint apps, are the head sculpts and the hands are different on this particular figure. Now, I will say, out of the package, this figure, the DCeased figure, has tighter limbs. I noticed in the past with some of these DC Essentials figures, they're really loose. As soon as you take them out of the package, and they're really, you know, the legs are so loose, in some cases it's hard for them to stand. This is really tight figure, on even on all of the DCeased figures that I've played with, because I played with them a little bit before we started the review, and they're a little bit tighter. Paul Harding did just an absolute awesome job with that particular head sculpt. That is just fantastic. Now, Aquaman does have the same articulation that all the DC Essentials do. Now, remember, this is kind of a standard buck, so they all have pretty much the same articulation here. So I'm not going to really go through articulation for all of them, just because, you know, they all have it. Move his head up and down a little bit too. He crunches down. I really like the ab crunch. You get that kind of good look, or that powerful rawr look. Again, this particular figure has tighter limbs than the regular version. So let's bring out the regular version of Aquaman so we can kind of get an idea of what the differences are here with this. Now, here is one that kind of has loose legs on me, so he's a little bit harder to stand, and I really hate that, because this Aquaman is he's a daggum fine action figure, but I just got to get the right stance here so he won't. There we go. He's kind of looking down. So as you can see, the head sculpts are again different. You have a brighter orange, a brighter green. The gold is pretty much the same, but just the brighter orange and the brighter green for the figures. This is a little more dull orange. You can see the difference, how this one's a little more bright, shinier than this one. The green is a bit more dark green, and you can see some blood splatter all over. So the paint apps, all the DCeased figures are going to have this blood splatter paint app all on them. They also all have this, it looks like they all have the same particular hand style, that kind of hand style, where if you look at this Arthur Curry over here, he has one fist and one hand to hold his trident, which this particular figure did not come with a trident. So that's kind of a bummer. It seems as we go along in this DC Essentials line that the accessories have kind of gone by the wayside, and the price point goes up, the accessories go away, so that kind of worries me. Especially in the face of what McFarlane has been doing with their line of DC figures. But all in all, still a very cool addition. You know, he'll look good on the display stand. Let's take a look at the Joker. I don't own another Joker. This is the first DC Essentials Joker that I have, so I can't really compare him to the other figure. He does come with the same gnarled up hands. Here is a cool little thing though. You know, I guess because it's different here, but the fingertips are cut out of, or at least 3 of the fingertips are cut out on the glove here, and you can kind of see some fingernails and some gnarly looking kind of blood there. So that's kind of cool. Look at that face. That's the face only a mother could love. And like I said, if this was not DCeased, you know, if this wasn't branded DCeased, I think this could probably come off as a Joker. Like, hey, look at the just the crazy lipstick that the Joker put on or whatever. So I think it could actually come off as like a legit Joker action figure. And the blood would be realistic, because honestly, let's just say he just got through beating Jason Todd with a crowbar. You know, there'd be blood everywhere. This one, I like the coat tail here. It's kind of the same plastic rubber that the capes are made out of, so that's pretty cool. And I like the collar on the figure. Now the head can go up and down. You could probably turn it all the way around, but that collar keeps it from going all the way around, and I'm scared I don't want to break anything here. He does have arms that go up there. He does have bicep swivel as well, as you can tell right there. He has double jointed elbows, and again, same articulation as the rest of the figures, which you know, I can't complain. The articulation on these are pretty much outstanding. He does have ab crunch here as well. I was kind of worried about him since he had a coat, but he does. You just have to kind of get the coat out of the way. Put your hand if you really want to kind of play with him. He does turn the waist as well. His legs can do the split real good and can run. He does have thigh swivel. He does have double jointed knees. You can tell right there. The one thing he doesn't have, which the other figures do, and that is the calf rotation. The other figures can, you know, their boots sort of hide it really good, but the calf can rotate as well. This figure doesn't have that, but he does, you know, his ankles can do the same thing with the others. So, you know, that's a little different because this figure doesn't have that calf rotation, so you're kind of missing out just on one layer of articulation with this one. But he's still a very cool action figure, so I'm not gonna put him down much for not having that articulation. Finally, here is Batman. Now I do have Batman, but I haven't opened him and pulled him out of the box yet. For some reason, I kind of want to keep the Batman Rebirth in the package, so we will keep that one there. As you can see, the paint apps on this, you can tell a little bit better. The light gray can really shows up some of the blood and even some of the ripped suit here to show his skin up underneath. Look up close and you can see just like this grimy black, I don't know, paint, you know, I don't even know what you call that, like a stippling, or maybe they took like just a black piece of cloth and just kind of dabbed it in certain places just to give it that little extra griminess to it. On this particular one, I don't like this. You can see like where they should have shaved that down a little more when they pulled it from the mold. But this Batman, let's take a look at his face. That is just fantastic. Look how creepy that Batman looks. Ah! You know, Batman's supposed to be a creepy guy anyway for villains if you walk up to him in a dark room. But if you walk up to this guy in a dark alley, jeez, that's awesome. You know, that might be the, you know, that and Aquaman, I think they have the best DCeased facial sculpts out of this wave of action figures. Again, articulation, he has the same as everybody else. Bicep swivel, can move around. He has double jointed elbows. I'm gonna say that the hands again are, you know, since they're that kind of hand, that claw hand, they are different. He does have the ab crunch there. He can turn at the waist. The belt seems it's probably glued on the sides, but it's an extra piece. It's actually there's some rubber there that you can actually grab a hold of with your fingernails if you really want to. Pretty good twist there. He has thigh swivel. He does have double jointed knees, as you can tell, calf swivel, the boot, and ankle, you know, movement up and down all around. So again, if you want to look at the back of him, I like this. I like the way the cape is sculpted and just kind of flows over his back. That's really cool. So again, can't complain about these. These are actually really, really nice action figures. But my one complaint is these things cost $28.99. They're $28.99 each, and I get it. I know that DC Direct doesn't sell as many of these as McFarlane does his toys, but McFarlane Toys can sell this same figure for $19.99 and give you more accessories. In some cases, maybe even, I know Paul Harding is great and he does a great job, but you know, there might be little details added in that maybe Paul had to sacrifice, you know, under DC Direct's lead to get the price point that they wanted for these things. If you're a fan of DCeased and you want to add, or you're a fan of DC Essentials, grab these. They are great variant figures for the regular releases. If you're looking for Green Lantern, Batman, Aquaman, Joker, zombie kind of figures, hold off. McFarlane Toys may make something similar to this down the road, and you'll get, I think, a better quality action figure. But he's not making those now. DCeased from DC Direct is the only way to get these. Go for it. I will say that there's been a major, I don't know if it's just the quality of how these things are put together, but the legs and the arms are not as loose as previous releases in this line, particularly Aquaman, who's got like really, look, see that? He just jiggles. He's so loose. This Aquaman doesn't do that. So shout out to DC Direct for sending me advanced copies of these action figures to review for you guys. Check out DCCollectors.com each and every day for the latest DC Comics toy and action figure news. And you can find me on social media at DC Collectors.